Let me put this on another drive while we're doing this. So you can find my server virtual machine from my Google Drive, and the link is located there. On the lab assignment page, I had added another link, I believe. So you can try one or the other, just basically they're copies of one another. So when you download, you are going to get, or when you visit the site, you are going to see two files. You can download one or the other. You don't have to download both. So you can download the CIS-40A server.zip or the copy of it. Inside it, so once you download it, you are going to extract it. So once it arrives at your download folder, you save it there. You're going to right click and choose extract all. Okay, so make sure that we extract it, because for the convenience of faster download, I zipped it so that way it is smaller. Otherwise, you would have to spend longer time to download the file. The same with me if I was to upload the file in whole. So it is compressed. Make sure that you extract it, and you can use extract all option with Windows OS. You don't have to use 7-zip. You can, but you can just use extract all. So once it arrives to your computer, simply right click, right, choose extract all, and then you will get a folder like this. Okay, and inside it, you will see server 2022 VM. It is like a few folders deep. So you just need to open them up and be able to find your virtual machine. Okay, so we can download. I do have some spare drive that has them. Let me check on this one. Yeah, there's one right there if you need it. And then I should have this one now. I'll put another one. So just pull, it's about 4.5 gigabyte for the actual compressed folder. You just have to move it to your desktop or downloads, wherever, and then just extract it there and use the extracted folder, not compressed one. Otherwise, you're gonna have a failure with virtual machine. Okay, so I have it on my desktop. I'm gonna open up VirtualBox, right? So right now after I downloaded and extracted, that will be step 2, 1, and 2. I search for a VirtualBox app on my computer, open up the app, and then I'm gonna click add and go to, because I saved it to my desktop, so I'm gonna go ahead and open up desktop. And the extracted folder is called CIS-40A server. Open that up. And inside it, you see server 2022 VM or 22 VM. Open that up. Open up the subfolder, and you would see the blue file. It would say server 22. So I modified the configuration for this VM a little bit, so it should respawn a little quicker than the 19 that you have seen. That one has a little bit of issue. So basically, browse to the extracted folder and find the blue file says server 22 and add it to your VirtualBox. But before you start, click settings. There should be 8 gig of RAM already configured for the virtual machine. So we're just gonna verify that. And then the processor, that should be 4-core. One thing that you need to change is the network option. So click on network, and where it says NAT, right? So I'm at step 5 right now, right? So NAT, I'm gonna change that to internal network. So if you want to build a home lab and you don't want to broadcast IP address or modify anything in the current network that you're using your system with, you can just change it to internal network. So it keeps it just within the virtual machine. Okay, so again, click on the network option on the left, go to adapter 1, click on where it says network address translation or NAT, change that to internal network, and then click OK. So once you have changed that for your server 22, you can go ahead and click start. Were you able to copy? Did you need a copy? Did you find it? It's not on here? I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Were you able to download the one for today? Okay, see if you can download, but I'll put the other ones on here. Okay, so let your virtual machine boot. And just like last time when we were using Server 2019, you are going to, once the desktop load, you are going to do the input menu, keyboard, and then insert Control-Alt-Delete because we need to log into the VM. And when you press Control-Alt-Delete on the outside, it might not know that that's what you want. So click Input, Keyboard, Control-Alt-Delete. Let me move one more. Okay. So I log in after I select Control-Alt-Delete, and I would need to put in my password, which is CIS-40A. With an exclamation point. Sorry. Good night. So once we have logged in, then what we're going to do is like last time when we configured DHCP, you must give it a static IP address. Otherwise, you will not be able to set up everything properly down the line. It's going to tell you there's an error. It won't like it, but just by practice, we want to make sure that there's an IP address. Okay, back to my virtual machine. Once I log in, I would see the dashboard this way. I'm going to click on local server and wait for the information to show up, which is where my cursor is. It says that I'm obtaining an IP address from the DHCP. If you need a drive with that, the zip file's on here now. You can just click on the link and be able to access the Ethernet property from here. Okay, again, I click on the local server on my left and click on IPv4 assign DHCP link. And it will bring me to the adapter right here. So we're going to go ahead and right click, go to properties, and then change the version 4 IP address. So once you get to the Ethernet adapter, you're going to right click, go to properties. So this is where I'm at step 13. And then select IPv4, which is halfway down, and then click the properties button, which is step 14. And this is where you need to put in your static IP. So click use the following IP address, and we're going to do 172.16.0. And for the X, you need to put in the number between 0 or 50 to 100, right? So I'm going to go ahead and use 53, but you can use anything between 50 to 100. 60, 80. Okay. So the last octet needs to be distinguished for your server. And then click on the subnet mask and it will fill out your classful subnet, which is 255.255.0.0. Just click on it. And then the default gateway, follow step 15. It tells me to put in the default gateway as the .1. So that's going to be your router IP. So 172.16.0.1. This is what we've done previously, right? When we configure DHCP. Now the DNS is going to be itself, just like what we talked about last time when we did the DHCP. So whatever you put in for the first IP address, that's what you're going to put in for this one. So 172.16.0. For me, 53. So whatever that you use for the IP up here, you would use the same for the DNS IP address. Okay. We don't have an alternative DNS. We can leave that blank and then we'll just click OK. So again, your IP address, you just replace the X with any value from 50 to 100. You can use 61, 84, whatever you like right here for the X. The subnet mask, when you click in, it's going to fill out your classful subnet mask. And then the default gateway, just put in the .1. For your DNS server, you're just going to repeat the IP address that you have entered in at the beginning, right? 172 for me, it's a .53, so it's a .53 there. Itself is a DNS server. Sorry, let me get my property sheet in the middle so you can see. Okay, so once that's done, make sure you click OK. And then we can close the property sheet and close the property sheet. So when I rewrote the lab, I realized that some of you had DHCP problem last time because your IP did not get updated quick enough when you install. So we're gonna restart. We must restart, okay? If you continue, you might see your IP address change after a few seconds. But if you reboot, it will change. Okay, so once you put in your IP address and your DNS is the same exact as whatever your IP address that you had set, click OK and close, and then I'm going to reboot. And we can just say other unplanned. So that will be step 18. And it should take a few seconds to restart. Let it just start. Don't press any key because when you press any key, it's going to go through install again. We don't want it to install again. Just let it go. Let it boot. And then you're going to log in and wait for the server manager. So again, to log in, we're going to click input, keyboard, Control-Alt-Delete, just like what we did earlier. Okay. And then put in the password. So once that's done, sorry, let's fix this. You're going to see the dashboard with the dashboard information. You can click on the local server to make sure that you see your IP address that you set. You should see it, right, for IPv4 after you reboot. So if you force it to restart, you should see your IP address being shown there. So we want to verify that after we restart. And then once we have a static IP, I am now going to attempt step 19. We're going to go to the dashboard again, click it, and then we're going to add roles. Just like how you add DHCP, you are going to use the wizard to add the DNS. So after you set your static IP, you should reboot your server and then log back in and go through the procedure to add your role. Okay, so I click the dashboard, right? And then I click add roles and feature. Then it's going to prompt me this. We're going to proceed and click next for step 20. We're going to keep the role-based and feature-based installation. And then we're going to click next and to go to step 21. So at this point, we should see our IP address that's static. If you see a 10.0.2.5 or 15, that will not do, right? You have to repeat the process or reboot. That means that your configuration did not stick. So if you restart, it would have the static IP there. And your server name, like we talked about, is there on the left. Then what you're going to do is only one server that you have, you're going to proceed by clicking next. And I just finished step 20. So I will go ahead and check DNS. Now, what you can do is you can do DNS, AD, and DHCP all together. But for the sake of the lab, we're just going to add the DNS first, and then we're going to add ADS and also ADDS and also the DHCP. So once you click the DNS option, it's going to tell you that it wants to add these features. We're going to click add features, which is step 22. And then we're going to proceed by clicking next for step 23. And it's going to say that it's going to add the .NET framework. That's fine. Click next. And here it tells you that for the DNS, things to note. And this is what you need to answer number 25. It says, what type of services should be integrated with the DNS server? So it tells you that DNS server integration with Active Directory domain services, good night, automatically replicates DNS data along with directory service data. This is what we talked about earlier today in the lecture. So it helps you manage the DNS easier. So that's something that we can use for 25A as an answer. And it says, can you install DNS while installing Active Directory domain? Yes. You can just select that checkbox, right, in the prior step and add the feature for it. So we can add multiple roles at the same time when we do the installation for one role. So we can add, you can add Active Directory domain services with it. And that's typically the approach, is to be able to select multiple role and then incorporate them together. Then we're going to go next. So now it's going to tell you that it's going to add administration tool, role administration tool. You're going to click install, and this should take about 5 minutes. Tremendously different with 8 GB of RAM and quad core compared to before when you are on the slower side. So if you give it a little bit more resource, it's going to respond a little quicker. So wait for the blue bar to reach the end, and the message would tell you that you have successfully installed. Then you can proceed. Okay, don't click close until you get that message. So once that happens, you notice that the tools that it lists will be added to your tools option at the top right. Okay, so it tells me now the installation has succeeded for my server. I'm going to go ahead and click close. So make sure the blue reaches the full bar and it's succeeded. Then we're going to click close. So I now just finished step 28. The next, what we're going to do is we are going to open up the console. Every role that you install, once you install the roles, it's going and feature, it's going to add that to your tools set, which is on the top right. So click on tools and you will find your DNS console listed there. This is where you would use your console, right? In the future, maybe I'll write something with PowerShell. I know how much you guys love PowerShell. Anyway, so once I click on tools and select DNS, I will find that this is my console. It's going to list your server, right? And remember, we talked about forward lookup zone. So we don't have official zone yet, but once you install the server, it's going to, the role, it's going to put in some of the folder to contain your zone. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we are going to make a zone, like what we talked about in the lecture. So when you expand this, you also see what's on the right side, right? So you are going to right click your server name and you're going to make a new zone. And the wizard's going to walk you through. So right now I'm at step 30, right? I'm in the DNS management console. I right click my server name where it says win and a series of number. Now you can rename your server, right? You should do that at the beginning so that way you can see if you have many different type of server, but this, we didn't rename it. So we use the default name. So we right click, new zone, and we're going to proceed to next for 26. So remember, we talked about primary zone, that is a writable zone, whereas the secondary zone is a read only, and your stub zone is it's only used for NS record, right? We talked about SOA and NS today. So there are specific zone that would be related to certain records for your DNS. So we're going to make the first zone, so primary zone, we're going to go next. And that's step 32. Then we're going to make a forward lookup zone. So that's going to be the domain name to IP. We're going to go next for step 33. And here is where you're going to put in your zone name. So we're just going to put, I'm going to put in my full name. This is specifically for this particular domain. You can name your zone however you want, like internal zone, external zone, DMZ, whatever, right? But for the lab, you just need to give it a name here and then go next. So what it's going to do is as you make the zone, it's going to create a file with the name that you gave it, and it's going to be a .dns. And we're going to click next. Remember we talked about dynamic updates and secure dynamic updates. Initially, you cannot establish any kind of updates yet. So you are going to see it grays out the secure dynamic update. It only allows non-secure dynamic update. And we talked about like non-secure dynamic update is not ideal. So we're not going to do any update because we're the first domain right now. We don't have anything to update to or from. So we're just going to go do not allow dynamic update, and we're going to go next. And it gives you the summary for everything that you set up. We made a forward lookup zone, and this is the name that we gave it. We're just going to finish. Okay. So once that's done, what you will see is inside your forward lookup zone, there is the zone that you have. Okay. So if you click on the forward lookup zone folder, you're going to see the zone that you just created, and it would have the relevant records. So I have the NS and the SOA for that server system.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you want, remember we talked about PTR record. If you want to make a reverse lookup zone, you need to go in and configure it. You can add a zone that way. Most people don't, right? Because usually only systems talk IP. So, in the case if you want system to identify another system through IP and then domain name, then you can you can add a reverse lookup zone. Okay. And then if you have like other things, so, you know, this is just the beginning of the DNS configuration. Now we can close the DNS console and then we can install ADDS. So as you can see, even if you install it, it doesn't necessarily be quick. It doesn't necessarily be usable until you fully configure it. So I'm back in my server manager and I'm on the dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and click add roles and feature. And as you add each of the role, it's going to take it off of the list. You cannot re-add the same role over and over again. We're going to go next. We keep role base, and then we're going to keep the same server information. We're going to go next. And here is where you are going to select. So make sure we select the right thing, okay? Sometimes students select the wrong Active Directory option. So we're going to select the second option, okay, which is your Active Directory service, not the lightweight or the federation. And then we're going to add the feature for it. So directory, so your ADDS. See you later. And we're going to click next. Sorry, I forgot to add DHCP. So make sure we select DHCP in the checkbox as well. And then add its feature. So we're going to keep Active Directory and DHCP roles installed. So select both of those and go next. And then that will be step 43. Then we're going to go next to keep the net framework. And here is where you can answer the question. It says to review the information for ADDS and answer the following question. What does Active Directory Services store? Right? So it tells you at the top that it stores information about users, computers, devices in the network. It helps administrators securely manage this information to facilitate resource sharing. So Active Directory is simply a database that contains objects and subjects of the network, right? Your users, your groups, your computers, your devices that are connected. It could also be other servers. And it says how many domain controllers are recommended for in a domain and why, right? So it tells you here, it says to help ensure users can still log into the network in case of server outage, install a minimum of 2 domain controllers on a domain. So you might have a primary domain controller, which is what they call a PDC, and a secondary domain controller that kicks in the case that the first one is out. So you might have 2 or more, right? You can have more, a minimum of 2. Then we're going to go next to proceed. And then it tells you need to have a static IP, which we already have at the start. And you need to install DHCP, which we're currently doing with with ADDS, Active Directory. And then it gives you all the summary and click install. And this might take about 7 minutes compared to the other that will be 5 minutes. So the more roles you add, a little bit longer it's going to take because it has to pull all the features for the install for the software. Now, some environment like here or in other places, you would see that they run server, DHCP, Active Directory, and other things on a virtual machine like this. but on a cloud, like on AWS. So you can spin up an instance, run Windows Server machine like this, just like this, right? With quad core, 8 gig of RAM, and be able to run all the services and be able to create scope and all of those things. So you see a lot of that in the infrastructure. Doing this on a virtual machine is not just because we don't have access to the real system, but that's what you see in the real world too. Okay. So it succeeded and it tells me that I need to still configure it. Installing doesn't mean that it's fully completed. You have to configure, right? So once it succeeded installing, it finished install. I'm going to click close and it's going to give you this flag with the little warning symbol. So in 2019 server, they cleaned it up a little bit. It looks a little nicer on 2022, I think. Looks the same, right? Since 2016, actually. The interface look a little bit better as we go, but you have the same thing. Okay. So on the next step 48, you're going to click the exclamation point. And I'm going to select, because it tells me that I still have to do post deployment. That means that I have to configure my server. So I'm going to go ahead and select the first option, the first warning where it says Active Directory. And you can do this through your ADDS, but it's gonna take me there. So I'm gonna go ahead and click here so that way it will just open the wizard to let me promote the server. So click on the exclamation point to access your warning message, and then click on the link to be able to launch your post-deployment configuration. Okay, we're the first one in the forest. So it's like each of your server is like a tree, right? You're planting tree and to make a forest. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna add a new forest. So I clicked the blue link and it took me here. Then I select add a new forest, and then I'm gonna make myself a new domain, and I like for you to use your name. So I'm just gonna put in my full name.com. So as you put in the .com, the root is the dot, right? Your top level domain is com. So .com is, part of the root. And then your domain, your fully qualified domain name is what's before that is going to be connected to the root. So the hierarchy, that's what you see in the picture. It shows you the structure of it. So it's going to look, so this is going to create the root hint, and then it's going to add in your NS record. Okay, so once you have your full name.com, don't put real, literally full name. Your name.com goes there, right? Okay, then go next. Now, what you see is this is going to be functional level. If you do take 40C down the line, we go over the actual hierarchy and how this is, why it's like this. So it says functional level, and this will take a few seconds. You can't click it until this blue bar thing, like it's gonna allow you to select the option. Because it's using VirtualBox, it's a little slower, but as it goes through, you're gonna see. So it's gonna take a few seconds to load. Okay. You can keep the functional level for server 2016 like that. And then you're gonna go next. It will never be in the closest or the current. This allows you to work with the older OS's functional level. So let's say that I have upgraded from 2016 to 2019 and from 2019 to 2022, right? What we can do is we can select the functional level for 2016 so it works with the server for that OS level. Okay. And then you're going to put in a recovery password or restore. So we're going to use the same. but it should be different in the future. Sorry, let me retype that. Lab seems long, but it's not long. So right now you cannot delegate. Notice that it tells me a delegation for this DNS server cannot be created because there's no authoritative parent zone cannot be found. It does not run Windows DNS server. If you are integrating with an existing DNS infrastructure, you should manually create a delegation for the DNS server in the parent zone to ensure that is a reliable name. Otherwise, no action is required. So right now, we don't have delegation. You can go back and manually delegate later. That's what it's saying. Because it cannot find the parent zone. There's no parent yet, right? And then we're going to go next. And for NetBIOS, so give it a few seconds. You can't click or input anything. Just it's still thinking. So it's going to fill in your domain name information without the root. We're just going to go ahead and click next. So this allows the system to be able to identify your server with just by its domain name without the IP address. Okay, like some older system uses NetBEUI. Okay, here is where you need to answer the question or take a screenshot. This is important because from a security perspective, you need to protect this area, right? So it's telling you that your log files is going to be in the Windows NTDS directory. Your database folder is also there, and your sys volume folder is there, right? We need to protect these resources for our server. So possibly later think about permission control. And then this is the location for ADDS database log files and sys volume. So take a screenshot of that and then click next for step 57. And it gives you the summary of your configuration, right? Go next and then wait for it. And then you're going to click install. So earlier, the installation was for some of the feature. Now we're going to be actually installing the role configuration. So wait for it to allow you to click install. It's going to put all of the configuration information in, and then it's going to let you do that. After that, it's going to reboot. Okay, so you might have to relog back in after the process. And then we will configure the zone for dynamic or the DNSSEC. So it tells you a couple warning. It says that the default security setting for your cryptography algorithm compatible with Windows NT is weak. You want to probably change that for security reason. You need to delegate the DNS. It gave you that earlier already. No action required yet. So we're going to click install and wait for it. And when it finishes, you are going to see the zone, the records that it's going to put in. We talked about that, right? So you're going to see, you already saw some of the records when we first did the DNS part. But now to really complete, you have the ADDS component, and you will be able to implement dynamic updates for your replication. So once your installation is completed, right? When you go back to your server manager, you're gonna see, you already see that it added the ADDS there, DHCP and DNS, but it's gonna show you some of the status with your roles, right? So here is where I need to restart. So I'm just gonna click close, and it usually would reboot or click close. Okay, yeah, it should restart. Why? Because originally you log into the local system, right? Now, since you promote it, you're gonna log into the domain. So your account, administrator account, the first time that you log in to install, that's the local administrator. Now, when you log in, you're gonna see that it's gonna show your domain name and / administrator. Now it becomes a domain. So you promoted it, and you are now logging in as a domain administrator. That's the next level up, right? Because the local administrator cannot configure a domain, only the domain administrator can configure a domain, okay? Just like how you are logging as a student in a domain, right? RCCD domain. So you see that when you promote it, your server got elevated in the role, and you would need the proper credential to be able to access it.
Oh,
Okay, this might take a little bit, but just hang on.
yeah, mine says applying computer settings.
Yeah. It does, because you made some changes to it. So when it's done, once it boots up, you can take a screenshot that show your ADDS. And then we would configure the rest. So this is basically, we're almost there. It's very quick. Once you go through it, the wizard, it's like you can do 10 steps. 10 steps in like seconds. Okay, so once that boots up, we're gonna access your DNS management console again. At this time, you should be able to see your forward lookup zone, right? And then you can select your zone that you had created, and you can go in and select the DNSSEC and click sign zone. So that will allows you to have the DNSSEC, because you know, in CIS-27, we always talk about use DNS security, right? This is where you would see it. My server just show black. I don't see anything, but anyway, let me see. Maybe it's still. So the intention of this lab is to show you how to install the DNS role on Windows Server. Probably the easiest because it has the wizard. Also Active Directory, which is highly demanded for system administration or server administration for Windows. And then to have you better understand how DNS works, where you can find the records, how to be able to configure DNSSEC or security. And then we talked about time to live. Hey, stranger. Oh, thank you. How are you? Let me give you a hug. Oh, you didn't have to.
I wanted to. I didn't know if you were on campus or not.
Oh, thank you.
Nice seeing you. I'll probably stick around somewhere in the back.
Okay.
So now we know, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just yeah. I'm old. Okay. Thank you so much, Naz. I have something for you too. I didn't expect to see you. I meant to like text you and meet up with you. I would be like, no, don't bring it. Okay, let me see. I might have to reboot my computer. I know yours might take a little bit of time also. But anyway, as you go through, you can go and check your zone and set up on your for your DNSSEC. And then also you will be able to look at your reverse lookup zone like what we talked about. You only need to input the network ID of your IP address, right? Because it is a class B, it's only the first 2 octet. Okay, don't forget. The network ID is the first 2 octet, 172.16. Those are the first 2 octet.
What was it like to get a screenshot? Take screenshot capture.
Yeah, once it's boots, when you see your server manager, you should see like it's both green on the bottom for your
Those after you
yeah.
screenshot them?
Yeah. To show also on the left it shows your ADDS. My server is being slow. For those who wants to watch it later. Do you notice now that when you log in, you have your domain name and now you became the administrator for the domain, right? You elevated, you promoted your system. So we're just going to log in using the password still as before. Okay, where we left off was once you are in, you're gonna check your status for your system, and the server manager is generally good, so to show you that, right? Oh, what happened to all my roles? It crashed.
Well, you gotta get. Yeah.
I know. It should be like green after a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
So virtual machine is slower. So I want this screenshot, right? You should have the 2. And if you have red here, you got to just check out why it's red. You can go to events to view why it's red. Go back and see and look at your services to see what's stopped running and what's running. And then on the left, it also lists your appropriate role. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Tools 61, go to DNS. And we are going to, so here I am at step 62. On the forward lookup zone, if you click it, you would see the one that you created previously. It has SOA and NS. You're going to right click the zone that you made. And what you can do is you can also select DNSSEC. So you can make a new host name. So if someone has access at your level, right, they can make a new host record, which can have redirection to their own domain, right, etc. So what you can do is you can select DNSSEC and then click sign zone and then go next, right? And it tells you to do that here. Sign zone, go next to set up the wizard, use all the default settings. So we're just gonna keep clicking next to customize zone for signing. And then we're gonna click next to create signing key, right? Let me see. We're just gonna click add, and then let me see. We can click OK. So you have to click add and click OK, and it's going to let you add the default, which is your RSA. So what I did was I just click add, and then it generates the key. You just click OK. It's gonna add the RSA and the SHA-256. We're just gonna go next, and then next. Oh, maybe it did not. So if I add two, yeah, so you have to select it. So what I did was I made it twice. You just need to select one of them after you add it and then go next. And then it's going to tell you this, that it's choose NSEC or NSEC 3. We're going to go next. And you can do automatic update with trusted anchor key rollover. Go next. Right? And here's your time to live. It's 3,600 in seconds. So that's your DNS key TTL. Go next, and then proceed to next and finish. So when you do the DNSSEC, you have to generate the key. First add the key and then select that key and you proceed. Did you sign your key? Are you sure you did it?
I know I signed my zone through DNSSEC.
Yeah.
There was just some things that popped up on yours that didn't pop on ours.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe different. As long as you can sign the zone. Sometimes you can sign the zone without adding the key. Maybe it didn't load the key when it crashed on me or something. Okay, so once you finish, you're gonna go to the right click the reverse lookup zone, right? You can make a new zone, which is step 68. Go next. And we're gonna do a primary zone. Remember, that's a writable copy, whereas the secondary zone is read-only. So we're gonna go next. And we're gonna select to all the servers running domains. So that defaults, the selection is the second option. Go next. And then IP reverse lookup zone. Here is where good night. You're just gonna put in 172.16 only, because that's a class B address. So network, and we don't need the rest of the hosts. We're gonna go next. So only the first two octet get placed in there. And we are going to, so once we do that, then we're gonna go next, secure updates, and finish. And so that's how you set up secure updates for reverse lookup zone. Also setting up for DNSSEC, right? Now you know how to do that, because we always talk about the theory on how to do that. So to prevent DNS poisoning. And then once you're in here, right, you're gonna double click the newly created zone, which is this one. And you should see your SOA and your NS record. Good night. Thank you. So how many records did I find? I found 2 records, start of authority and name server. If you want in your forward lookup and you also see 2 similarly, you can also add a host zone, host record or for AAA for IPv6. So answer that question. What are the records? We can see those type of records, and then you can refer to the notes or AI or Google to find out what they are. If you don't remember, take a screenshot. And then we're gonna double click one of the record. I'm gonna double click SOA. And what you will see is that it tells me that it refreshes every 15 minutes. It's retry every 10 minutes and it expires after 1 day. The time to live is listed down here. So 1 hour. Now you can change that. So that will give us 60 minutes. That's usually the default for replication requirement. And then when you click the general tab, you should be able to select, right? If the records is going to be for Active Directory or not. So it says, click on the general tab to view the record property. Is the record Active Directory integrated? If it says Active Directory integrated at the top under running, then it is. If it doesn't, then it's not. What is the setting of the dynamic? So we have secure only. That's what we did for the extra step when you sign that, right? Good night. Thank you. And then click on aging. So what you can do is you can let it to scavenge stale resource records. If you select that right now, it's not selected. So if it doesn't refresh after 7 days, it doesn't collect or scavenge the stale one. So after 7 days, it just flushes it out. But you can make it to go and reuse, right? Whatever that's within the 7-day span. So you can see the refresh information there. And then once you see this information, you can answer is the, what is the setting for the, oh, we already answered that. And then we can, did I need to change this? Yeah, you just click OK.
You said the part where it says the record Active Directory, it says change on mine. Does that mean it is integrated?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it shows integrated at the top, right?
Well, it says
Under running. Yeah, and then it should say Active Directory
I
integrated.
was just confused because it said change on the side, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah. Well, we modified it for that. See you later. Thank you. Okay, so click OK. And click OK. And then now we're going to go and look at DHCP. So go manage under tools, go DHCP. So this one doesn't have any scope, right? We did one with the scope. You already seen that, but you can right click IPv4. I'm sorry, expand it and then right click. This is where you wouldn't make a new scope, but you can go to the properties. So I right click IPv4 window, it shows the red arrow because we don't have a scope. And what you can do is you can change the automatically update statistic. You can make that into 1 hour or 60 minutes. That's up to you. So I'm lazy. I'm going to just put in 1 hour and 0 minutes. Or you can change that to 0 hours and 60 minutes. Same. If you want boot TP table, you can select that option, but it's not required. Then before we close it, go to the DNS tab. And remember, we talked about dynamic update for the DNS records from the DHCP. So this is going to tell you that it's only when DHCP clients are requested is this option. You can force it to always dynamically update, but that's gonna take up a lot of bandwidth. So it's only when there's a request from the clients. So that means that if I have a new system that's turning on or trying to connect to the network, and then for the PTR, the pointer records, you can see that here. It discard A and PTR records when the lease is deleted. So after the end of the 60 days or the 90 days of the lease, right, those records for the system on for the client system gets removed because it doesn't associate with a certain IP address anymore, right? And then click on Advanced tab. So I'm just showing you where you can find the dynamic update information and some additional configuration. Now, you can find the audit log, right? In security, that's important to go back and find out like why your system is a certain way. So your audit log is located under the System32 folder under Windows for this server, and it's under DHCP. And you can also set credential for the update. Remember, we talked about like who can update, why is it secure update? So you can also set credential for the individual that needs to run the dynamic updates, which by clicking credential and put in the username information, and that user has to exist in Active Directory. That's a later session. Okay, once we're done, we can click OK or apply. And you can shut down so close the management console, shut down your Windows server. And that's it. 91 steps, not bad. Still have 50 minutes to spare. Good night. Thank you.